what does chance mean? So when I met with Jeremy, I asked him, I said, when we were prepping for this, I said, what do you mean by chance? What do you want me to talk about? He said, well, we leave the topic purposely ambiguous so that our speakers can then tap into what they want to talk about. And so as an artist, I really appreciated that. As a creative, I was like, great, now I have lots of options. But then the perfectionist in me was like, now I don't know the right thing to do. So I started thinking about how could we define chance as artists? And then Jeremy had also said a tip was that to add something personal. So I thought, what does chance mean to me personally? And as an artist and a professional, and even theoretically, I had an understanding of chance. But for me personally, I had never thought about it before. No one had proposed the idea to me before. So just last week, I turned 32 on my 32nd birthday. And I started thinking about chance and what it meant for my generation, right on the cusp of Generation X and Y, falling into Generation Y, the millennials, and then what it meant for maybe our parents, for my parents at least. And I thought about the idea that when my parents were young, chance or opportunity was everywhere. A friend of mine just said the other day, she was talking about in the 70s, how she was bored with the job, she quit her job on Friday, and then on Monday she had a new job, right? So that's not really the case for us anymore. Chance or opportunity, as I'm going to define it for this first thing, is very different. Yeah, it's less and less for our generation. Our degrees mean less, debt is higher, and job options are limited. But my proposition is that the limitation of chance or opportunity for us is actually not so much a bad thing. I read a while back an article that talked about how my generation is the most entrepreneurial generation to date. And there are a couple factors maybe that go into that. So one of the factors that's a new one is the Affordable Care Act. We talked, there was an NPR portion that said that the Affordable Care Act made it so that now that wasn't a limitation. People could choose what they wanted to do because they are now able to provide health care for themselves. The limitation of chance is actually maybe a good thing, right? Because at first it seems limiting. There aren't concrete chances. There aren't concrete options, right? I can't follow this format, this formula of I go to school and I get my degree and now I have these chances that are laid out in front of me. I can't follow that formula anymore. But now, because there are maybe a bunch of things that I'm not able to do, now I can do what I really want to do. So out of the idea of the 70s from my parents' generation, it came me. So my personal story is that I was still trying to adhere to the ideas of my parents' generation. I was when I graduated from high school in 2001, I went to the University of Cincinnati, and I was going to become a graphic designer. Who in here is a graphic designer? I feel like I'm talking to a bunch of graphic designers. So I was going to be a graphic designer at DAC, and it was something that I thought I was okay at, right? I had designed, the graphic designers are going to laugh. I had designed for my yearbook, so I was like, yeah, I'm good at this. I made a yearbook page. But what I came to find at DAC was that I wasn't very good at graphic design. At least I wasn't very good at being a visual artist, which was part of the equation, right? It was something I had never done before. So for 2 years I struggled through it, and I just really was pretty miserable. But there was that voice in my head that said, you gotta do this, right? Like, college isn't meant to be easy. You gotta kind of struggle through. But it was more than just the regular college turmoil. It was an additional, just like unsettled, this really isn't my passion, right? I maybe thought it was, but it's not now. So after some soul searching, I quit DAP, which was kind of I thought it was going to be such a big disappointment to everybody, and as I'm sure you guys have found, sometimes you think something's going to be such a disappointment, and then you tell people and they're all like, yeah, we could tell you were totally miserable, it's fine. So I quit that, and I decided I was going to be a Spanish professor. So I tried that for, I don't know, that was like a semester maybe. And then I remember really clearly one of those kind of defining moments. Well, I was at breakfast with my dad on a Saturday morning, and I was just telling him I've spent now almost 2.5 years in college, spending money and time, and I still don't know what I want to do, right? And that's disappointing and confusing. So he said, why don't you just get your degree in dance? And it was kind of like, he had said something that was just like, I'd never seen it before, right? I danced since I was 3. I've been dancing. So, but it didn't seem like something that you could do. It wasn't a real job, right? So being an artist is so often not seen as a real job. And even to myself, who was an artist for my whole life, I had never thought like, oh, that's something I can do. So I was like, really? I'm allowed to do that? So I did. I changed schools. I went to NKU, and I have my degree, my BFA in dance. So that was an opportunity, a chance that my dad had opened up that I had it was kind of blind to me, right? It was so obvious that I was blind to this opportunity. And that has made all the difference for me in my path, in not only my career path, but also just my path to happiness and to being a well-rounded human being who isn't miserable every day. Graphic designers, you are amazing people. I don't know how you do it. So, but you probably are just as passionate about it as I am about dance, which is key. Okay, so now I'm going to shift gears really quickly and think about and change to this idea of Ichi-go, Ichi-e, which is a Japanese saying. In addition to being a dance enthusiast, I also really love tea. And Ichi-go, Ichi-e is a Japanese tea ceremony idea. And it can translate to a bunch of different, it has a bunch of different translations, of course, but one is for this time only, never again. Another is this moment only comes once. And then my favorite definition of it is one time, one meeting. So the idea is that we will only be here, right, once. It will never happen again. We'll never have that cup of coffee in your hand. We'll never have, the camera clicking, right? We'll never have those moments again. As soon as they happen, then they've passed, and we'll never be sitting with the same group of people ever again. Even if we tried to recreate it to a T, it would not be the same. And I think that's a really interesting idea. It's similar to, the Western saying we have of the song, savor the moment, or it only happens once. But I feel like it's a little more nuanced. It's a little more experiential about the magic that's happening right now that will never be happening again. And also maybe, I guess it could be sad, as I just said it, like, it'll never happen again. It could be sad, but it's not, because the only place that it's saved is in your memory, which is kind of wonderful. Okay, so I didn't know about this idea of Ichi-go, Ichi-e when I founded my dance company in 2008. But I did know that I wanted to investigate the question, how does chance art create community? So when we talk about chance art, I want to make sure that we all understand. Merce Cunningham, if anyone's familiar with the choreographer Merce Cunningham, and I always know who is and isn't, because they're like, yes, I love her. But Merce Cunningham was a famous choreographer, and he had this really wonderful thing called chance choreography. And the idea was that the dancers would learn different chunks of choreography, and then the choreography would be assigned to a coin or a dice, right? And Merce would roll the dice before performance, and if, say, they landed on 5, the dancers would do that choreography, and then he would roll it again, it would land on 4, they would do that choreography. So the experience of the dance was never the same. That's kind of a layman's description of what happened. There was a lot more. There was some cool experimental music going on. But the idea was that Merce was trying to create shows that were never the same, and that also engaged the performer as much as it engaged the audience, right? The performer had no idea what was going to happen. I mean, they had a little idea, but it was exciting for them as well. And as an audience member, you can imagine it was really exciting to watch. When I'm talking about chance choreography, it's a little different than Merce Cunningham's idea. I'm talking more about not me. My friend Margie Waller, if you guys know Margie of Art on the Street Cincinnati, she's a wonderful advocate for art for placemaking, and she's coined the term, and then a lot of us have ran with it, serendipitous art. So the idea is it's spontaneous art. It happens in an unexpected place at an unexpected time. So those are kind of the two requirements for chance or serendipitous art. And it could be sidewalk art, it could be a musician playing on the side of the street, it could be anything, right? As long as it happens in an unexpected place and an unexpected time. All right, so in Pone's case, we use serendipitous dance. And that can look very different. It can look like a flash mob, like kind of the thing that just happened for you guys a couple minutes ago. And flash mobs have become really popular now. Even when we were maybe in school, I don't think they were that popular, but now they've become really popular. This was one that Artsfed, when they were still Fine Arts Fund, had commissioned to happen. It was called Splash Dance because it rained that day, so everybody was in the rain dancing. That's me. I lost my shoe. Look. Or in its best case, in my opinion, serendipitous art is experiential, right? It's experiential for the participants. They are part of the experience. So this was from Paint the Streets, in which we invited people on the streets to paint us, and then we did a dance dependent upon how they activated us with the paint, right, with different words. So it's involving the audience in the process, or maybe even more ideally, erasing that barrier between performer and audience member, right? So that we're not really sure who is who. So, Pones Inc., we have a program called Pones in Public, and it has kind of 3 goals to it. So, it encourages people to dance in public with strangers, which can sound incredibly intimidating, but we try to make it not. We take dance off the proscenium stage, and we bring it to where people are. We often, so I should mention, I'm a co-founder, so the other founder, Lindsay Jones, is the person whom I started the company with, and she's no longer with the company. But when Lindsay and I were talking about what we wanted out of art and out of chance art, we interviewed people. We said, why don't you go see dance, right? Or why do you go see dance? And a lot of people said they just don't have time and money, right? Which those are barriers regardless, whatever you ask people. So we kind of thought like, okay, we're gonna take those excuses off the table. So we bring dance to where people already are. So we're taking it out into public space. Through generous funding and other outlets, we make it free for people to experience as often as we can. Not always, but we really try hard to, so that there's not a barrier, and that kind of eliminates a couple barriers that are important to us. It eliminates also a socioeconomic barrier, and it often eliminates kind of the elitist feel that maybe ballet might have. There's an intimidation people have talked about with having to know vocabulary, or not feeling like they belong, or having to wear a certain outfit, right? And when I say this, I always take care to say I was trained and became passionate about dance through ballet. So in no way am I knocking like the Cincinnati Ballet, right? I love them. Ian teaches there, right? Like it's it's not saying one is better than the other. This is just a different version, and this is the part that I'm really passionate about. So you can see up there, that's Councilman Seelbach leading a conga line. That was for, I think, maybe a second Sunday on Main, maybe? Yeah. So, also when we're talking about chance art, we're talking about things that are engaging people in unexpected places. So this is on the Tank bus. We worked with Tank to create a day called Ride with an Artist Day. We also were invited to dance at CBG at the airport, which was super fun. We didn't know how that would go, right? It's like people were in a hurry to get somewhere, but it was great. This was part of a project. We've danced a couple times in grocery stores. We really like grocery stores. But this was actually part of a film for Hilltop Stories, which is a really wonderful project in Walnut Hills, talking about the people in Walnut Hills. And this was for a piece about Courtney Cooper, who works at the Kroger. There's Ian. So this was part of Parking Day. If you guys don't know about Parking Day, it's, I can't remember what time of year it is. It's obviously a warm time. September, is it? Yeah. And it's to advocate for public space. So people are given parking spaces, and then you can create whatever you want in that parking space. This happens on Main Street, and I think this year they expanded it to Covington. People have made like mini golf courses. I think Park and Vine makes a cool park, right, area. And we made a beach, so we had a beach dance party. And what else? Here's some fun ones. The Purple People Bridge, that was super fun. So here's a very short video. Hopefully the volume is loud enough that can show you a little bit more about Pones in Public. Jackson's costumer, Michael Bush, actually, he wrote a book, and he was at Joseph Beth in Rookwood to sign the book, and they invited us to do a little flash mob thriller for him. He was probably like, Rob seemed better. So, I believe that that serendipitous art can create community and chance meetings between people who may not normally interact. And these experiences are lasting, right? They start to tell a story about the place where you are, and they start to tell a story about the people who you experienced this with. This is one of my favorite examples of a time that chance art really brought people together, and I could see that it was kind of one of those Ichi-go, Ichi-e moments. This was at Newport on the Levee. This was maybe 2 years ago, so it's a little while back now. But the setup was we were dancing, and this group of kind of teenage boys you can see in the back there, they came up and they said, you know, can we dance with you? And I think maybe it was a dare, probably from one of their friends, knowing what I know about teenage boys as a teacher. But we're like, yeah, sure. So, you know, they were kind of being silly, having fun. And then our friend Steven and this gentleman came too. So maybe like middle-aged guys joined in. And then this gentleman, his daughter came and joined in. So we knew one of the people, right? And then our dancers. But this was a group of people, maybe a handful or two handfuls of people that were together. And it usually, you know, we're just having fun, we're not really taking it in. But for some reason in this moment, it really kind of struck me that this was really cool. This was a group of people who had never met, who would be dancing in public, which is kind of a really brave thing to do. And they had just chosen to do it that day. And they would never see each other again. Or maybe they would. We've had some experiences before where people say, I saw somebody who I danced with at a poems thing at the library, and I waved to him. I have no idea what their name is, but I knew them, right? So those are kind of the really cool, the magical things that can happen through chance art and serendipitous art. So, also a couple things. Dance can also provide an opportunity for kids to be moving. Dance is a really great tool for kids to express themselves. In addition to being a teacher here at the Art Academy in a previous life, right? I was a a 5th, 8th, and high school teacher, 5th grade, 8th grade, and high school teacher at Walton Verona for 5 years. And I saw that kids having dance as part of their everyday curriculum was very powerful. I knew that maybe one out of my hundreds of students were actually going to be a dancer, a professional dancer. but that wasn't the point. The point of having dance class and offering that was to give them a way to express themselves, to give them a way of nonverbal communication, to give them the tools that that dance involves, right? The process that it can involve. And seeing something through from beginning to end. Those are tools that anybody can use, right? The experimentation process of trial and error. As choreographers, we're trying something and we're failing continually, right? And that's a good thing. That's not just, it's not defeating. It's what we want, so that we can work quickly to find things that work. So the opportunity for kids also, this is interesting, I just had to put it in. I saw this really interesting article the other day talking about that kids learn better when they're given a chance to move. So I don't know if any of you have been in a classroom lately, but so often kids are told, sit still and concentrate. That's impossible, right? We can't even do that as adults. So sit still and concentrate is kind of a crazy thing to ask people to do. And the opportunity for movement within an educational setting, I think, is really important. It doesn't have to be dance, it can be phys ed. I was just teaching in a school the other day, and it was really disappointing because the kids' punishment for not sitting still was that they couldn't go to recess. And I was like, it's just so counterintuitive, right? Kids need the opportunity to kind of blow off steam and to be moving throughout their day. Yeah, this is interesting. Less than half of public elementary schools offer any instruction in dance. And I don't think that's surprising to us, right? That's not really surprising. It might be surprising if they didn't have a music program, or if they didn't have maybe even a PE program, right? Which is happening in a many sense. But to not have a dance program isn't really too shocking. But I wish it was. And then the last thing, dance can give people a chance in the form that I'm probably most grateful to be able to do, is to be able to give a chance for people who may not have the opportunity to express themselves or to have their story told. We like to use dance to give people the opportunity to have their story heard. So most recently, we created shows with victims of human trafficking and survivors of human trafficking, maybe more accurately is what I should say. And this was in collaboration with Caracol and Slavery Cincinnati. And then most recently, in collaboration with the Homeless Coalition and Bethany House, we created a show that explored wealth and poverty within our city, and it traveled throughout the city. Again, even performances or shows, not just programming that we do, we ideally like to take it out into public space so that, it doesn't seem right to create a show about people and then not have them in the audience, right? So ideally, again, taking away that monetary barrier and putting it out in public space. If we are working, say, for example, with homeless populations, and then we put the show inside and charge $12, right, which we did in some cases, but we made opportunities so that it could also be seen by the people who the work was created on. So ideally a chance for people to have their voices heard, and really a chance for us as artists. That's the other side of the coin, which is a chance for us to be able to explore with people who we may not interact with normally, right? And to have the opportunity to be trusted to tell their stories, which is a huge, huge honor, right? Okay, so dance and chance, right? Chance has many applications in my world. And without taking a chance and becoming a dancer and following my passion, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to dance in Italy this summer, right? That's us dancing on top of a Medici villa, pretty cool. Or dance in Romania, in one of the only places that Genghis Khan couldn't get into. It was up on a big hill. We had to hike our keyboard up there. It was pretty cool. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to create a music video with our friends, Walk the Moon, who were just our buddies at the time. They weren't, they weren't famous. Oh shoot, I forgot. Hold on. Let me go back. And I wouldn't have had the chance to be on Michael and Kelly, in which I became Hugh Jackman. Amazing. All right. So, in closing, Jeremy, do we have our thingies? Awesome. Cool. So for me, dance is all about chance. It's trial and error, right? We try, oh, lift and whoops, I can't turn your body 10 times up in the air and fall, right? So it's trial and error, it's all about chance in that way. But it's also about the fact that it's a performance that you may never experience again. So with that being said, Jeremy is going to help, and Nicole, do you mind to help Jeremy? That'd be awesome. Nicole and Jeremy are going to pass out some tea bags. It's just a tea bag. But you may do whatever you'd like with it. If you want to make a cup of tea and drink it and have like liquid chance courage this morning, that sounds great. If you want to put the tea bag up on your billboard and just be reminded to take a chance, it's just an invitation. It's an invitation and a reminder to take a chance and to see what happens. So, as they pass out these tea bags, now that I've encouraged you to take a chance, I am going to invite you all to take a chance with me now at 10 a.m. Well, before 10 a.m. And I am going to invite you to dance with us. So, if you'd like, watch your coffee. And don't worry, there are instructions.
Welcome to Poems in Public, an interactive dance performance that everyone can participate in. Here's how it works. Follow the movement instructions of my voice and have a great time. Let's get started. Start by clapping in rhythm to the song. Now turn to the person next to you and give them a high five or a handshake. Invite them to do the twist with you. As we move through the decades, let's do some of our favorite moves from the 80s. Start with the running man. Now let's move into the spring foot. Don't forget to change sides. Everyone knows this one. Turn to the person next to you and invite them to do-si-do. Now stop and do your best roll. Put your hands in the air and wave them back and forth as we jump up and down. Now, disco dance. start to cool down, sway side to side with the rhythm of the music. And for our final dance move, freestyle until the end of the song. Thank you for dancing with us, and have a great day.